The first time she asked me that question, the screwdriver slipped from my hand and hit the wooden floor with a sharp crack that echoed louder than it should have. I had been focused on the hinge, on the stubborn screw that refused to tighten, on anything except the life behind that door. But when her voice drifted down the narrow hallway and reached me, soft, careful, almost afraid of its own words, it felt like someone had knocked on a door inside my chest that I had boarded up years ago. Would you ever date a single mom? Before I take you deeper into this story, let me ask you something. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in love finding its way through the cracks of broken lives, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, The Kindness Chronicles. Stories like this exist because people like you still believe that hearts can heal. I hadn't expected my Tuesday afternoon to turn into a turning point. I was just the maintenance guy for a modest apartment complex on the edge of town. I fixed leaking pipes, squeaky doors, cracked tiles, and sometimes broken heaters in winter. I liked the simplicity of it. Broken things made sense to me. You could see where they failed. You could measure the damage. You could fix them. People were different. Her name was Elena. She had moved into apartment 3B 3 months earlier with her 6-year-old son, Noah. I noticed them the first week because they didn't bring much. A few boxes. A small mattress. A second-hand dining table with one leg slightly shorter than the others. I had watched from the courtyard as she struggled to carry a bookshelf up the stairs while Noah trailed behind her, clutching a stuffed dinosaur that had seen better days. I had offered to help. She had hesitated, then nodded with a tired smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Over the next few weeks, I saw them often. Noah rode his small red bike in the parking lot, circling the faded white lines like they were racetracks. Elena left early in the mornings wearing a grocery store apron and came home late, shoulders slumped, but always kneeling to hug her son before unlocking the door. I never asked about her husband. There was no ring on her finger, and no man ever came by. The day her door broke, it was raining. A heavy, relentless rain that soaked through jackets and made everything smell like damp wood. She came to the maintenance office with Noah tucked under her arm and told me the door wouldn't close properly. The frame had shifted, she said. It wouldn't lock. Security is not a small thing when you're alone. So I grabbed my toolbox and followed her upstairs. Noah sat on the couch coloring while I knelt by the hinges. The hallway light flickered above me. The apartment was clean but sparse. A single framed photo hung on the wall, just her and Noah at what looked like a beach. No father in sight. I was halfway through adjusting the hinge when she asked it. Would you ever date a single mom? She didn't say it like she was flirting. She didn't even look at me when she said it. She was standing by the kitchen counter, twisting the hem of her sleeve, staring at the floor like the tiles might swallow her whole. The question hung in the air between us. I didn't answer immediately because I knew it wasn't just a question. It was a risk. It was her testing the ground before stepping forward. And the truth was, I didn't know, not because there was anything wrong with single moms. But because I had failed once already. 5 years earlier, I had been engaged. We had planned a wedding, chosen a venue, mailed invitations. 2 months before the date, she told me she had fallen in love with someone else. Just like that. I remember standing in our half-painted living room, roller in hand, watching my future collapse in a single sentence. After that, I promised myself something simple. No more complicated love. No more deep roots that could be ripped out. Dating a single mom wasn't just dating her. It meant stepping into a story already in progress. It meant a child. Responsibilities. A past that didn't disappear just because you wanted it to. I cleared my throat and finally said that it would depend on the person. She looked at me then. Really looked at me. And in her eyes, I saw hope fighting against fear. The door clicked shut smoothly when I finished. It locked with a solid, reassuring sound. She thanked me, and I left before the air grew heavier. That should have been the end of it. But life rarely ends where it should. A week later, I found Noah sitting alone on the apartment steps after dark. It was too late for a 6-year-old to be outside. He was hugging his dinosaur, eyes fixed on the parking lot like he was waiting for something. I asked where his mom was. He told me she was still at work. She had called and said she'd be late. He had a key, but he didn't like being inside alone when it stormed. The sky rumbled in the distance as if to prove his point. I sat beside him. I didn't have children, but I knew what loneliness felt like. We waited together until Elena's car finally pulled in. She rushed out, panic written all over her face when she saw him outside. Then she noticed me. Gratitude filled her expression. That night, she invited me in for coffee. Noah had fallen asleep on the couch, his small hand still wrapped around that worn dinosaur. She told me about her ex. About the shouting. The broken plates. The night she packed a bag and left because Noah had hidden in the closet during one of their fights. She said she promised herself her son would never grow up thinking that was love. I listened. Not because I was trying to impress her. But because someone needed to. As the weeks passed, small moments started to weave us together. I helped Noah fix the chain on his bike. Elena began leaving a thermos of coffee by my office door in the mornings. We started having quiet dinners together once a week, nothing fancy, just pasta or soup. With Noah telling long, dramatic stories about school. But the closer we got, the louder my doubts became. What if I wasn't ready? What if I failed them too? What if Noah started to see me as something I couldn't promise to be? One evening, I overheard two tenants gossiping near the mailboxes. They were talking about Elena. About how single mothers always came with drama. About how any man who got involved would regret it. Their words burrowed into my mind like termites in wood. That night, I pulled away. I stopped staying for dinner. I told myself I was protecting everyone from future pain. Elena noticed. Of course she did. She didn't confront me. She just became quieter. The coffee stopped appearing at my door. And then, one afternoon, I saw Noah fall off his bike. He scraped his knee badly. He didn't cry much, just looked around like he was searching for someone. He looked at me. In that moment, something inside me shifted. I realized I had already stepped into their lives. The only question was whether I would step out again and leave another empty space behind. I carried him upstairs and cleaned his knee while Elena watched. There was fear in her eyes again, not of me, but of losing something fragile before it even formed. Later that night, after Noah was asleep, she stood by the door I had fixed weeks earlier and asked me if I had an answer yet. This time, I didn't hesitate. I told her I wasn't afraid of her being a single mom. I was afraid of not being good enough. Afraid of loving and losing again. She walked closer and told me that being brave didn't mean being certain. It meant showing up anyway. So I did. It wasn't easy. Noah tested me in ways I hadn't expected. He had nightmares and sometimes called me by his father's name before catching himself. I saw the confusion in his eyes, the loyalty he felt toward a man who had hurt them both. There were nights Elena cried quietly in the kitchen after putting him to bed, worried she was ruining his childhood by bringing another man into his world. And there were nights I lay awake wondering if I was building something that could collapse at any moment. But slowly, steady as tightening a stubborn hinge, things began to align. Noah started asking me to come to his school events. He saved me a seat in the front row during his first grade play. When he forgot his lines and froze under the bright lights, his eyes searched the crowd. They found mine. I gave him a thumbs up. He finished the play. Elena squeezed my hand so tightly I thought she might never let go. The real turning point came a year later when her ex showed up unexpectedly, demanding to see Noah. The old fear returned to her face like a ghost. He wasn't violent anymore, he claimed. He just wanted to reconnect. I watched her tremble as she considered it. She didn't want to keep Noah from his father, but she also refused to let chaos back into their lives. That night, she told me she didn't want to lose me over this complication. And I realized something important. Love is never complication-free. It's not a blank page waiting for perfect ink. It's a story already written in parts, with torn edges and messy chapters. You don't erase the past. You learn to write beside it. We sought legal advice. We set boundaries. We did it together. Months passed without incident. Stability returned. One quiet Sunday morning, Noah crawled into my lap while we were watching cartoons and asked if I would be at his birthday next year too. The question was small, but it carried the weight of forever. I told him yes. 2 years after fixing that door, I found myself kneeling again, but this time not with a screwdriver. It was in the same apartment. Same hallway light. Same wooden floor. I asked Elena if she would marry me. She cried before she answered. Not because she doubted me, but because she finally believed she didn't have to do everything alone, that we didn't have a big wedding. Just a small ceremony in the courtyard of the apartment. Complex. The tenants who once whispered about her brought homemade food. The manager strung up fairy lights. Noah walked her down the makeshift aisle, holding her hand proudly. As she reached me, I thought about that first question. Would you ever date a single mom? It had sounded simple at the time. But it had been an invitation into courage. Into responsibility. Into a love that wasn't neat or easy, but was real. Now, years later, I sometimes fix doors in other apartments and think about how strange life is. How you can walk into someone's home with a toolbox and walk out carrying their heart. If this story touched you, if it reminded you that love isn't about perfect timing but about brave choices, please take a moment to like, share, and engage with this video. Stories grow when hearts respond. And before you go, I have a special request. In the comments, write the line, "I believe in second chances." Let's fill this space with hope for anyone who feels their past makes them unlovable. Because sometimes, the most important door you fix isn't made of wood and metal. It's the one inside someone who's afraid to open their heart again. And sometimes, all it takes to change your life is answering one quiet, trembling question with courage instead of fear.